Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifeni, the Great Malabite. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Ifeni.
Rufa.
Good morning, sir.
We start the review with this day Nigeria's newspaper of record. We start with the story above the masthead. Defunct Heritage Bank. NDIC vows to recover 700 billion naira loans, advances. Inherited banks 650 billion naira at takeover. Declares 99.9% of 2.3 million insured depositors have balances less than 5 million naira. 400,000 depositors have 5 million naira and above. Payment of insured deposit to commence within a week. Of course, the story of the defunct Heritage Bank. If 99.9% of the depositors in that bank now defunct have below 5 million, means majority of them will get their money back, projecting now. Of course, the 4,000 depositors who have over 5 million, of course, they have every cause to be worried, because by the time the assets of these banks are sold, whether they will be able to recover enough money to give them what they deposited in that bank is what is giving such depositors headache. Some will just have to lose their life savings. And of course, the key point here, inherited banks 650 billion naira debt. Of course, that the license which became Heritage Bank was the one originally held by Société Générale Bank. And I'm sure those who are owing Société Générale who thought with the change of nomenclature, they cannot sleep easy without paying back their loans. I just hope the NDIC and all relevant bodies will be consistent enough to pursue and recover those loans, so that those who took loans from Société Générale Bank, thinking that it's all over since it's not Heritage Bank, because they're part of the problem. If you to look into the books of this bank that is now defunct. Now, the lead story. Bagudu. Despite economic growth, 40% of Nigerians still live below poverty line. Restates commitment to inclusive growth. Well, if you read that report, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning at that stakeholders meeting of the Multidimensional Poverty Index, to operationalize that index in Nigeria, said that despite the growth in recent times, I want to be clear, which recent times? Is this the last 1 year of President Tinubu, or the last 9 years of APC is talking about? But the picture clearly is that so many Nigerians are living in multidimensional poverty. In 2021, President Muhammadu Buhari, then when he was inaugurating the Presidential Economic Advisory Council, made a huge promise to remove 100 million Nigerians from poverty. But we know better. By the time President Muhammadu Buhari handed over, anxiously looking forward to returning to Daura in May 2023, many more Nigerians have gone into multidimensional poverty. And the Bureau of Statistics in 2022, November, released the figures. 133 million Nigerians living in multidimensional poverty. So the APC government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has its work well cut out. In the last 1 year, they don't seem to have scratched the surface of removing Nigerians from poverty. Now, let's look at other newspapers quickly. The Guardian newspaper, an index of our poverty and plenty, growing nation of destitute, as homeless kids invade Abuja Southwest. When you see these kids on the road, you wonder, nobody catering for them. They live under the rain, under the sun. Think of 15 years down the line, these children will be full-grown adults. If they continue growing like this on the streets, Of course, the menace we see today will just be a child's play. Also on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, Tinubu's government under pressure to refute continuance of, quote, gun fuel subsidy. Well, they've been back and forth between the officers of this government, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, in a document which government officials are now saying is not the authentic, but it's not that it's a fake document. It has not been approved, but it's a document from the government saying that by the end of 2024, this government will have spent 5.4 trillion naira on subsidy. But Bayo Ananoga, speaking for the presidency, said, oh, that document, oh, there's no subsidy. But if you ask me, between the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy and a spokesperson, who to believe? I will believe the Minister of Finance. Now, the Punch newspaper, $3.3 billion loan for crude. Federal government gets $925 million lifeline as Naira trades 1,481 to the dollar. Afrexim disburses additional $925 million under the $3.3 billion loan for NNPC. Is the central bank going to use that money to shore up the value of the Naira? We'll see. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, energy. Federal government's planned intervention to go up 1.916 trillion Naira, $245.6 million, 4.5 million euro, according to the reports, to pay 1.7 trillion electricity debt through bonds, promissory notes. Tinubu to global financiers consider more investment in agricultural orders in Africa. Yes, according to the document, the report New Telegraph is talking about, the plan which the Minister of Finance has put in place, the Accelerated Stabilization and Advancement Plan, ASAP. These figures are from that document, as well as the 5.4 trillion naira projected to be spent on subsidy by the end of the year. Business Day newspaper, rising youth heart attack sports cardiac care revamp. A troubling increase in the heart attacks among young people has prompted initiatives to enhance cardiac care capabilities in Nigerian hospitals. According to this report, so many young people under 50 are suffering from heart attack, cardiac ailments. So the advice there is that please do your checks regularly, because there are many young people walking about with serious high blood pressure without knowing. A medical personnel not too long ago was advised, go and do your checks. He went for the check and he was literally arrested and kept in the hospital because his condition was very serious without knowing that. He's supposed to be a medical. Talk about others who walk around without knowing their real health status. Do your checks with your doctor, even with a nurse, to check your BP, to be sure that you are not in danger. Because many young people are having cardiac arrest and cardiac problems recently. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, minimum wage talks, Labour gets restive as federal government plays waiting game. Labour committed treason by shutting down National Grid, SGF, Secretary of the Government of the Federation. No cause for alarm, Bagudu. Technical committee to be set up on other things, ministers. Now, the Tribune newspaper, Atiku, PDP tackle Tinubu alleged 5.4 trillion fuel subsidy allocation. Of course, the opposition party will pursue that all the way. Daily Trust newspaper, bandits kill 7 policemen, 35 others in Zamfara, Katsina. Review security strategy, Senate tells Tinubu, Tambuwa calls for state of emergency. Now, if we look at the foreign newspapers quickly, the Business Day newspaper of South Africa, yes. ANC executive appears to lean towards government of national unity. And there's a news flash in the front page of the Herald newspaper of Zimbabwe. And it says, ANC to form government of national unity. The outcome of the next meeting of ANC is that, well, the people haven't voted for so many parties, want a government of national unity. And that is likely where the ANC will pitch its tent. And of course, if we just look at the Guardian newspaper of London, the front page, I just take the photograph there. Nowhere to go. Missiles strike UN schools used as shelter. You see that boy? One of the children who was lucky enough to survive the Israeli bombardment of a school that is shelter. And the New York Times confirmed Israelis attacked civilian shelter and killed dozens. Rufai Ayo Ruben.
Well, thank you very much, Emmanuel Efeni. We have to draw the curtain.